Now, I actually, with my mind, went into your mind and altered the physical structure of your brains. I did, really. And put that in there. But I'll tell you that, you know, if you were to say something to me, you'd do the same thing to me. It's no special talent I have. This is how it works. Because we don't know exactly how memory is stored, but we do know this. For a change to take place, there must be a change in the nature of the matter of the brain at its most basic level. So we have a subatomic particle here, say a hydrogen atom. It has a proton in the middle and an electron out here. Now, there are hydrogen atoms in our brain. I don't know whether this information about the cat is stored in your hydrogen atoms or where, but I do know this is going to take place. This has to take place or no change took place. Somewhere in your brain, whether it was in the hydrogen atoms or others, the way atoms work is they have a resting state. So, and the resting state is the closest to the nucleus that the electron cloud can exist in. If new energy comes in, once a certain amount of energy comes in, this electron doesn't actually move from here to here. But what happens is, it goes through, it's called electron tunneling, that it tunnels outside of space and time from its resting state to its excited state, first excited state. Now, what has happened is energy has come, that I have sent some energy from myself to you that has gone into your ear and eventually altered the structure of your brain in such a way that you now know the Spanish word for cat. And you'll know the Spanish word for cat for a long time now, you watch. It's very hard to get rid of. There's kids I taught this word to 4 years ago, and I go in the room, I say, what's the Spanish word for cat? Everyone, gato. They know it for sure. So, this did happen. Now, why did it happen? How did this happen? How did I give some light energy from myself to you? In my brain, from when I was young, when I knew how to speak Spanish well, somehow or other, in the same process, the word for cat was stored in my brain. Now, when I want to tell you a word that I want you to learn in a foreign language, I think of this word cat. And it's somehow or other stored in my brain. And now, we don't know the processes by which this happens, but we know what I'm going to tell you happens. We don't know the whole process electrochemically, but we do know this. Or we don't know the cognitive process, but we know the physical process. However that information is stored in my brain to know the word cat, in Spanish is gato, it gets transferred down through the efferent nerves, the nerves leading away from the brain, going down to my vocal cords, by an exchange of photons of light energy from one particle in one atom to the next, down the nerves from my brain down to my vocal cords. A little bit of energy to the next atom, to the next atom, to the next atom, passing this light energy down. It gets to my vocal cords, telling the muscles to contract and relax at a certain frequency so they vibrate, and they vibrate in my throat. When they vibrate in my throat, there is air in my throat and my mouth. These vocal cords, when they bounce against the air molecules, they hit the air molecules and transfer a little bit of light energy to transfer photons of electromagnetic radiation or light from the vocal cords to the air molecules. These air molecules then spread out through the room. Every single air molecule in the room gets this information that is coming down from my brain where this word for the Spanish word for cat is stored, goes out, gets into your ear, bounces against your eardrum, your tympanic membrane, and the air molecules transfer little bits of light energy to your eardrum. Your eardrum then bounces against the three little bones, the hammer, the stirrup, and the anvil in the inner ear. each one passing information to the next through an exchange of giving light energy. The last one bumps against the outside of the cochlea, and the cochlea is the outside of the inner, bounces against the outside of the inner ear. The inner ear is filled with what looks like a yellow fluid, but is actually tiny, tiny sodium crystals. And every one of these sodium crystals in there gets this light energy, and it starts to vibrate at the same frequency that my vocal cords were vibrating at. And if you were to look inside the cochlea, you'll see these little tiny hairs coming from the inside of the cochlea into where these sodium crystals are. And the sodium crystals bump up against these little hairs. These little hairs are actually nerve endings from the auditory nerve. And so these sodium crystals pass light, little bits of light, to these hairs from the auditory nerve. It runs up, passing light from particle to particle, atom to atom, up the auditory nerve, into your brain, moves some electron shells from their resting state to their excited state in such a way that that word gets stored in your brain. So light is able to carry that information to you that the Spanish word for cat is gato. It also transmits the information to you that I'm speaking with what probably sounds like a male voice. If you didn't see me, you would probably think that I was a man from hearing the voice. So it tells you that information also. It tells you also that from hearing my accent, you might think it is an American accent. So light transmits that information also. And if I had said the word like gata, you would think that I had some emotion involved and I didn't like cats. Or I said, gata. I really love cats. You see? So all of that gets transmitted by little bits of light energy. So they carry all of that information from me to you. Or, if you were speaking to me, from you to me. So every bit of information in the whole universe is stored and transmitted by light energy. Every bit of information. Every particle is told what to do by light, by exchange of photons of energy. We think with photons of energy. Our communication is through photons of energy. When you take an exam, it is photons of energy that give you the right answer or the wrong answer to the exam. Every bit of energy, every bit of information in the whole universe is both stored and transmitted through light energy. Light, therefore, is omniscient, having all knowledge. So, what do we see then when we look at outside of the physical existence for the first time, and we see the non-physical or the spiritual world? We see what is there, which is light energy. We see it manifesting or showing the primary attributes that we have attributed to God. But we see these attributes being expressed in an absolute manner, because believe me, I'm not saying that God is light. I'm not saying God is not light. Allah has told us twice that He is light. He has said, I am the light behind the light, and He has said, I am the light of the heavens and the earth. So twice He has said that He is light, and scholars have said for a long time that the light we see is created light, and that God is uncreated light. But regardless of all that, I don't feel comfortable to by any means say God is light. So what I'm saying is, what we see here, we see the attributes of God expressed through light in an absolute nature. And they happen to be exactly the attributes that everybody's religion had already said God would be expressing as His primary attributes, but we didn't know that that's what we would see when we looked inside the box or outside of the physical world. When we look outside the physical world, that's what we see. The four primary attributes of God, as proven by Einstein's special theory of relativity. Now, this is a very unusual proof of the existence of God, but it is very, very difficult to argue against. All of the actual physics I have told you is, as far as physicists know, true. And I don't know if you know the name John Archibald Wheeler. He won the 2003